In this lesson, we're going to explore credit card use. A credit card purchase may cost more than it first appears because of the interest charged, the total payments, and the time to pay off the balance. Credit cards usually have a minimum amount that must be paid each month based on a percent of the outstanding balance. If there's no outstanding balance from the previous month and the new balance is paid off in full by the payment due date, no interest is charged. Making a single purchase with a credit card that does not have an outstanding balance is like a loan, with the purchase price as the principal borrowed and the regular payments to pay off the balance. In example 1 here, we can see different options when we're using a credit card and analyze how this might influence how we choose our credit cards, whether or not we want to even use our credit card, and so on. So Ruby will use credit to buy a work of art for $2,000. So when we're using credit, that means that we don't have enough money to pay for it, but we're willing to take like a mini loan, use our credit card, and then pay the money back. It says she can afford monthly payments of $100. Which option is a better choice and why? So option A says a bank loan with monthly payments, 8.9% interest compounded monthly. Or option B, this is a store credit card, so where she's buying the item, the store credit card, you get an immediate rebate of $100. Now they often do that in stores. You sign up for their credit card and there's all kinds of promotions and ways that they'll influence whether or not you can use their or whether you want to use their credit card or not. Usually there's some sort of promotion for your first purchase or your first multiple purchases. And then you get 18.3% interest compounded daily. Now 18.3%, that's pretty high, but that's what you're looking at when you're looking at credit cards. The interest rates are very high, whereas if you qualify for a loan, which in this case she does, the interest rates are usually lower. All right, let's see which one we would choose. So let's fill out the TVM solver and solve for what we need. Now just solving for one item on TVM solver isn't necessarily going to give us what we want. And let's have a look at what I mean there. So take your time and fill in all the necessary information in the TVM solver, and then we'll solve. So for interest, they tell us for the bank loan for option A, so we're going to do this one A and this one B, the interest rate is 8.9%. She's buying a work of art for $2,000, so that value goes in here as a positive because that's money owing. She can make regular monthly payments of $100, so we would put this in as a negative 100. We want our future value to be 0, that means we've paid it off. Payments per year, it says regular monthly, so that's 12 months in a year, and it is also compounded monthly, so that would be 12 here. So in this case, we're solving for how many payments this would give us, but this isn't actually going to give us everything we need. Let's start by doing that. So take out your calculator and go into Finance, TVM Solver, and we'll put in all the information here. Alright, so let's solve for n, which is alpha solve. And we get 21.728 and so on. So that means we've got 22 payments. But 22 payments isn't going to help us figure out which option to choose. It just tells you how many payments there are. So the next thing we're going to look for is how much interest we've actually paid in addition to the actual amount. And that's really what you want. Because for both option A and option B, the price isn't changing dramatically. They're giving us a rebate of $100, but with that rebate, how much interest are you actually paying? So which one is better? So I'm going to use my sum of my interest formula in my calculator. So that would be from 1 to 22 payments. The number of payments is helping me there. So I'll go back in there and I go back into Apps, Finance, and I'm going to scroll to my interest, 1, 22. Remember, you have to be in the menu, in the TVM solver menu, in order to solve this. And it tells me that I'm going to be paying an additional $172.95. Alright, so that's how much interest we're going to be paying in addition. Let's try this for B. Okay, so for B, we're going to put in all of our necessary information. So we've got 18.3% interest. Now we've got a rebate, so we've got the $2,000 minus $100, right? So we're actually paying less money for the painting. We're still making $100 monthly payments for a future value of 0, and we're going to make 12 monthly payments. But now notice there's another difference. We've got 8.9% interest compounded monthly for option A. Option B, yes, it's more, but it's also compounded daily. Now we liked compounded daily when we were talking about money that we were receiving, but when this is your interest that's compounding daily, this is going to make the amount that you owe quite high. So this is $365, and that's common for credit cards as well. So let's go ahead and solve that. So we've got 18.3. Now you can put the difference, the 1900, or your calculator will do the math for you. So the 2000 minus 100. You can see it does that right away. And then everything else stays the same except for now we've got 365. If we solve for the payments, alpha solve, it's 23 payments. So you have one extra payment, which doesn't sound too bad, except how much interest are you paying? So let's figure that out next. So we've got 22.63948 and so on. So that's 23 payments, right? But now, what is our interest? So we're going to go the sum of the interest again. This is from 1 to 23. But dollar value, what is the difference? So we go back to Apps, Finance, and then we'll go to the interest. 1, 23. And we get $364.12 in interest. Alright, so when you're comparing these two, right, looking at how much you're actually spending, you can see that you're paying much more interest for option B than you are for option A. But you're also spending less money on the original work. So how do we deal with that? So let's look at how much money we've actually put in. So for option A, we've got 22 payments of $100 each. And that's $2,200. For option B, it's 23 payments of $100 each, and that's $2,300. So that is the amount plus the interest in there already. So if we're looking at the amount of money that we've spent, and if we look at the interest, even though the original amount is different, you can see that this is less overall for option A. Another way you can look at this is taking the amount that we've spent in terms of the original work, so that would be the $2,000 for this one and the $1,900 for this one. Add the amount of interest, so that would be $172.95 for option A and $364.12 for option B. So adding those together and getting your totals, you can see how much money you've spent, principal plus interest. Once we do that, we can see that it is true, again, same as what we did in the first part, that option A is the better deal. So we would just write that. You'd save about $100, right? And there's less interest as well, right? And that's it for example 1. So you can see that just because there's a promotion that you can save $100 on an item doesn't mean that your overall interest is going to be less. And just because you can solve for the amount of payments doesn't necessarily indicate that the amount that you're going to be spending, principal plus interest, is going to be less than you would had you not saved that $100. So it's not enough just to fill out TVM Solver and solve that. You're going to have to be looking at the interest in your payments as well. Let's take a look at example 2. It says Marcel is buying a new canoe for $4,000 on credit. He can afford payments of $350 each month, and he is considering the two options shown. Option A is a bank loan with monthly payments, 8.8% interest compounded monthly. Option B, store credit card with an immediate rebate of 1.4% off the first purchase, 16.8% interest compounded daily. This is very much the same as what we just did. However, the discount is now as a percentage instead of as a dollar value. So go ahead and fill out your TVM Solver, and then below they lead you through what you should do next. So it says how much would Marcel end up paying in total with each option, principal plus interest, how much is just the interest, how long would it take him to pay it off, and then which option is a better choice. So this is a little bit different. It's going to lead you through step by step. So go ahead and fill out the TVM Solver. I'm going to do that as well, and then come back and check to see if your answers match mine, and then we'll go through the other answers together as well. So for option A, I filled everything out. It's pretty straightforward for this first one, remembering that you're compounding monthly and payments per year monthly, and we're solving for N. So solving for N, I got an answer here, 11.979. So this means there are 12 monthly payments, or you can look at this as 1 year. Now for option B, you can see the math I did up here. So the 1.4% off the first purchase price, I changed the 1.4% to a decimal, times it by the $4,000, which is my purchase price, and I saw that that 1.4% is equivalent to a $56 rebate. So, or $56 discount, if you want to call it. So I took the $4,000, subtracted the $56, and I got $3,944. So I'm not paying $4,000 like I am in option A, and so that becomes my new PV. Putting that there and solving for N, I got 12.357. So that means there's 13 monthly payments. Or 1 year and 1 month. Okay, but remember, just looking at how many payments we've made doesn't mean, right, that that's exactly what we need here. So we're doing 12 monthly payments for a year. That's $350 for each monthly payment. And then here we've got $350 for every monthly payment again, but it's 13. So first off, it looks like option B is the worst deal, right? Doesn't look like it's as good as option A. So if we look at that, how much would Marcel end up paying in total? So that's principal plus interest. So this is $350 times 12. For B, that would be the $350 times 13. And if we do that math, spending $4,200 here, and here spending $4,550. So again, that doesn't look like B is as good of a deal. Now, if we were going to do the interest, right, for A, and interest for B, you would have to do this if you're going to use your sum interest, which is what I did. You have to do that within the app, remember? So this was from 1 to 12, and this one is from 1 to 13. Now the only downfall to that is you can't do them separate. You would have to do all of A first and all of B second, because once you've cleared out the information in your TVM solver, you can't go back. Well, you would have to go back and retype it all in to do the other one, which is sort of tedious, right? So I already did that. Otherwise, you could do principal minus interest and get the same sort of idea here. So I've got $192.94 in interest for A, and I've got $381.68 for interest for B. So not only is it more overall, it's also more interest, and it's taking longer, because for A, it's taking you only 12 months, where in B, it's taking you 13 months. So which option is the better choice and why? Well, definitely option A, because there's less interest, and you can pay it off in less time. All right? So credit cards aren't always the best solution. Sometimes it's what's available to us. We don't always qualify for a loan, but also understand that the interest rates are way higher and it's compounded daily. So not only is the rate higher, but how it's calculated is higher. And if you have the money, great, they're a fantastic option. You can wait till you have the money. But if you don't have the money for the next payment, then you can really get yourself into quite a spiral, and you're going to end up owing a lot more than what you originally were planning on spending on a specific item. Thanks for joining me today.